Bank is customer education, empowerment, and growth. In this, we continually seek opportunities to bridge knowledge gaps through the provision of programs that are specifically aimed at improving business skills and competencies. We support the development of small and medium entrepreneurs with a view of ensuring their improved ability to think and operate strategically in today's increasingly competitive global environment. Our ongoing program of activities involves several partnerships with local, regional, and international entities. Among these, the Arthur Lockjack Graduate School of Business, University of the West Indies. Through this partnership, which commenced in 2010, almost 50 local entrepreneurs have so far been exposed to the annual Commercial Customer Business Program and business lectures with notable business results. As the program continues, we look for ways to enhance and modify its content on an annual basis for increased relevance and practicality. Another initiative held in partnership with Empatech targets women entrepreneurs across Guyana, and so far has reached over 400 women entrepreneurs over the past 3 years, again with significant results. The exciting plans for this year's program will be announced shortly. Permit me to mention yet another aspect of our SME outreach, the SME Toolkit Caribbean, our online developmental tool for small and medium enterprises. The SME Toolkit Caribbean, powered by IBM, is made possible through an exclusive partnership in the Caribbean between Republic Bank and SME Toolkit providers, the International Finance Corporation, an arm of the World Bank. SME Toolkit is available to over 5 million viewers in 18 languages worldwide. It is a favored option for local SMEs with computer and internet access, and also is a means of inspiring local entrepreneurs to greater success. This tool can be accessed via the Republic Bank website. For persons unable to access the site, however, we take the content to them in our series of community discussions where we share pertinent information from the site with respective small business groups throughout our network. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a bank that sees beyond simply lending for business. We see vast benefits for our stakeholders' development, hence our vision of increased potential for this sector. And we have every confidence in the multifaceted benefits to be gained by the recipients and all of Guyana. Over the years, we have seen a number of our SME accounts grow from small beginnings all the way to becoming large corporate accounts. Today's forum provides us with yet another opportunity to partner in this enterprise with the Arthur Lockjack Graduate School of Business and to commit anew the advancement of our strategies where small and medium enterprises can grow to greatness, empowered, confident, and ready for competition. And so it is with this great pleasure that I welcome you to today's lecture and presentation, and I extend every best wish that you will leave inspired and fulfilled, as well as eager to seize the opportunity to grow to greatness. Thank you.
Mr. Alves, for providing us with a deeper insight into our various partnerships and endeavors, which helps us to realize the Republic Bank vision for an engaged and empowered small and medium enterprise sector, of emphasis on sending nature of these activities, and the goal of growing our SMEs from strength to strength and ultimately to success. This is certainly a meaningful social and economic which all of us at Republic Bank can be proud. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to what you might term the essence of today's program, the presentation Grow to Greatness, Smart Growth for Your SMEs. which will be delivered by Professor Miguel Carrillo, Executive Director and Professor of Strategy at the Capita Graduate School of Business. Let me tell you a bit about Professor Correa. He comes to us today with a most distinguished career as an educator and business consultant. He has taught for over 21 years in 12 different countries in 3 languages. His main areas of focus are innovation and strategy, and he has been a consultant for several global companies, including Ernst & Young and Pfizer, to name a few. It is therefore with distinct pleasure that I welcome Professor Miguel Carrillo to deliver his address.
The thing is, we tend to think that SMEs are like destiny. Well, it's good to have small business. It's good. It's something positive. Let me tell you, it's wrong to have a small business. We want to have big businesses, not small businesses, don't you think? No, you all are business owners. Don't you want to make your business big instead of small? So, the real reason of why the public bank, our partners, and the school of business, we want the SMEs to disappear, to make them big. That's the way we want to do it. You understand one thing. Most likely it's going to be the small business that has the biggest chances for growing, right? For growth. The bigger you are, the more difficult growth. But whenever you're small, you think, well, this year I'm going to double my size. But if you're, let's say, if you're selling, I don't know, about $10,000 and you're trying to double your sales, it sounds like a lot, but really for a small business should think about, not in percentages, but increasing their size 3, 4, 5 times every year. So, SMEs or your size cannot be, a destiny. It is one step. It has to be considered part of your path, part of your path. It's part of your journey. It's a step. It's a stage. Cannot be your end in mind. Does that make sense? Yes? So let's get rid of SMEs. Okay? You were born to grow. You were born to grow, and let me just emphasize one thing. Size doesn't matter, although sometimes size matters. Okay? But size doesn't matter. What matters in business is speed. Is how you react towards the customer's requirements. It's how you react towards a business opportunity. There's one thing that we have learned at the school, is that sometimes, what matters is not necessarily how inexpensive or expensive is my product or my service, but it says how fast can I react towards the needs of my customer. So first of all, SMEs, let's just get rid of them. Okay? And why? Because SMEs have to be born to grow. You were born to grow. Okay? Now, this is something very, very interesting. It's one of my favorite kind of slides. You see down, in these acts, you will see basically the gross domestic product, which is really somehow how much money the economy produces, every year, the revenue. And this is it's called the gross domestic product per capita, which means that we divide the revenue of all the country by the population. Okay, and you can see whereas this has. Do we have here a laser? Yeah. Does it work? Okay. But here's Guyana. Guyana's GDP per capita is about a little bit more than $5,000 a year. So you can tell that they're like among the lowest income economies in the Caribbean and Latin America. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? Is that a bad thing or a good thing? Bad thing? Bad thing? Bad thing or a good thing? Bad thing? Yes, it's bad. But I think it's great. You know why? Because what room do we have for growth? You know, the room for growth in this country might be the highest in the Caribbean, by the way. Okay, and the rate of growth that Guyana has had in the last 11 years or so is around 5%. What is the estimate of growth for Guyana this year? I don't know, John, do you have it? 4 or 5%. Now, one question. You're SME owners, and at the end of your year, you work 24/7, Monday to Friday, Monday to Saturday, Monday to Sunday. You sweat, you cry, you know, and at the end of the year, you will have about $4 or 4% more in your pocket than the year before. Would that make you happy or miserable? just asking. Quite miserable, don't you think? So, what will, you know, and by the way, what prosperity, look at Suriname, look at Panama. Now, Panama is one of the countries that are growing very fast in a very nice, sustainable way. The point that I want to make is, what do you think makes countries grow? Small businesses or large businesses? Small businesses. And those small businesses are able to kind of grow not 100%, 200%, but 5, 6, 7 times in a very short period of time. What is called the gazelles. You know, the gazelles. They're like these small businesses that have these kind of superpowers to grow. But for every 100 small business, we will have just about 1 or 2 gazelles. And those 2 gazelles, you know, are the ones that actually support the growth of countries, and small as Guyana and as big as USA. So you are in charge of growth. You are the responsibles for growth. And let me tell you one thing, and I think you will agree with me. It's easy to start up a company. It's very easy if we compare that versus the complexity of growing your company, isn't it? Yes. Growing a company is extremely risky. Extremely risky. The reason is because by trying to grow your company, if you don't have the right strategy, if you don't know how to, if you don't understand the risks and you don't learn how to mitigate your risks, and you don't understand the nature of the opportunities in front of you and know how to go ahead and seize those opportunities, you can lose everything, right? If you have been around in business for 10 years, it's part of your wealth, you know, kids live out of this. And if you grow without understanding the complexities of growing, you can lose everything. Growth is your responsibility. Now, let me just skip. This is what I consider the founder's ideal mindset. This is what I really consider a real entrepreneur. This is the mindset of a real entrepreneur. I don't think a real entrepreneur is someone that has just a business and is just comfortable by having a business that pays their bills. Honestly, I think that's a mediocre entrepreneur. I mean, it's good, it's nice, it pays the bills, but the real entrepreneur is not just someone that is kind of surfing on being comfortable, but it's someone that actually takes some risks. And this is the ideal mindset of a real entrepreneur. Someone that has growth, you know, in their minds constantly. Someone that is worried about growing constantly, okay? Someone that is, you know, has an obsession, not just to grow, but growing faster, right? But as well to positively impact the environment, okay? And what I mean by environment, the natural environment, okay? To make it better, not to make it worse. To positively impact society, which means when you grow, you employ people. You know, does it make sense to have, in our countries, okay, does it make sense to have entrepreneurs that do not have a social conscience? No. We have to create jobs. And by the way, it's not the government that, in a sustainable fashion, will create jobs. It's going to be you. And to keep growth profitable. One thing is to grow, to kind of get more revenue, and the other is how do we keep it profitable? Okay? So this is the ideal mindset. The ideal mindset of the founder, of a real entrepreneur, is not just someone that keeps their business as is, but it's someone that is growing and is worried that their business has a positive impact in society and the environment. So we're talking about different kind of entrepreneurship, right? Not just the thing about, let's make money and let's forget about things. No, let's make money, but let's build a legacy. And legacy, one necessarily just have my business, but legacy would be, including the environment and the society. And that's a very important aspect of this, right? Okay, and this is very important. Growth is a challenge, but we have to understand how to grow. There are two types of growth: old growth and new growth. Whenever it's old growth, it's something very simple. You just keep doing more of the same, but better. That's it. That's old growth. New growth is about betting on being original, being different, being singular, being unique, being different, but as well adding tremendous values. It's growing in non-traditional sectors, understanding your global dynamics, being growth that is sustainable, that has the potential for internationalization. One thing, you guys have a great advantage. You have a large enough market here. Although it's a small country by any standards, relative to Latin America, for Caribbean standards, you're giants. Okay, but still, the ultimate test for competitiveness of a small business is your capacity to export, right? The export, the internationalization trajectory of your company will actually to growth patterns, to growth rates that you would ever imagine in your life. Okay? Innovation is one of the most important new growth engines. We can talk about it, and in the program actually, on the SME program, we'll have that. Now, but one of the things that I keep listening is, well, Miguel, everything what you said is very good, but we always have challenges in the financing. That make sense? Oh, yeah. Well, maybe so. But there are solutions. One of the reasons why we actually partner with Republic Bank is the following. As a school of business, we are responsible to provide you with a knowledge platform, with skills platform. Okay? But imagine if we partner with another institution that is able to give you access to a resource platform. But not just financial, because it's very important, but all the types of platforms like the SME toolkit and so on and so forth. So whenever you combine know-how, know what, with the resources, you get a very powerful combination. So, Michelle, I think that now it's time for you guys to get, and I think Mr. Edmondson as well. We'll speak a little bit about that, right?
Thank you. At the Lovejack School of Business, but what we are prepared to do to make this offer possible for you. And so I invite Mr. Jason Edmondson, and he's our marketing specialist for SME lending, to tell you a little bit about that.
Thank you, Michelle, Professor Correa. Professor Miguel Correa, Executive Director, Professor of Strategy, which is being offered by the Arthur Lovejack Graduate School of Business. In practice, Republic Bank offers concessions and loans for the purpose of education. For the Masters of Small and Medium Enterprise Management program, these already reduced rates and concessions will be further reduced. Thus, when compared to regular loans, the rates, concessions on these loans are approximately 2%. The range of rates is determined on the basis of security. So for example, for fully cash secured loans, you would actually get an interest rate as low as 4%. If a mortgage on residential property is being offered, then a rate of 6% will apply. For those of you who wish to use your motor vehicle and you want to use that as a security, the interest rate would be 8%. And we also accept assignment of shares, which also attracts an interest rate of 8%. Now, these retail education loans can run for a maximum term of 3 years. But you also have an additional benefit for those of you who are homeowners. You may want to explore the option of taking a set for life loan which Republic Bank offers, and that in itself attracts an interest rate of 7.5%. But it allows you also to have a repayment period, a longer repayment period of up to 10 years, which means that you also get a reduced installment, a smaller installment, which is more affordable for you. What our support touch the partnering with Arthur Lovejack on the Masters of Small and Medium Enterprise Management program. You would get a 0.50 reduction per unit on the prevailing foreign exchange rate for the payment of tuition fees. If the loan proceeds for your tuition fees is to be paid to your credit card, the same offer for the foreign exchange rate reduction will apply. You will also get a 0.50% reduction in commissions on foreign currency tuition payments in excess of $100,000 Guyana dollars. And we will also offer you a reduction on the cost of drafts to pay related tuition fees. So there are a lot of benefits attached to going through Republic Bank for this special offer. Now, in order for you to qualify for these benefits, however, the following conditions will be applied. You must have met the Arthur Lovejack criteria for acceptance into the MSME Management program. And of course, you would have to show us the letter of acceptance, and payment requirements must be presented to the bank. You must be in business for at least 5 years, and you must have been part of the bank's commercial lending portfolio for the past 3 years. However, if you do not quite meet all of the requirements that I have just shared with you, it doesn't mean that you will not get a loan or qualify for the Masters of Small and Medium Enterprise Management program. It simply means that you will not earn the additional benefits that Republic Bank is offering through this collaboration with the Arthur Lovejack Institute. You will, however, benefit from the prevailing concessions that Republic Bank already extends under the education loan. So you can still use your property to obtain a set for life loan and still benefit from the 7.5% interest rate and also the extended repayment term. You will also be happy to learn that when you repay your loan, your education loan currently before the maturity date, Republic Bank gives you a rebate on your remaining interest. And that's right. There is no penalty attached to repaying the loans right now at Republic Bank. Now, this has been a great pleasure for me to share this information with you, and I look forward to you seizing the opportunity and the advantages that will accrue from this offer. Thank you.
We need to grow, right? But the question is how? How to grow? What I have to do? What kind of decisions I have to start taking in my business to start growing? What you have there in front, and this is part of the all the content and everything that is going to happen in the SME program, so the Master of Small Business program. We're going to basically help you to grow. This master, I really don't like the name. Actually, it should be the Master of developing fast companies and making them grow. Something like that. But obviously for commercial purposes, then it had to be that way. But what you see there in front of you is all the menu of strategies, all the portfolio strategies possible that we can use to help your business grow. That's it. Okay? The only one that is not included there is that you're buying another company, that's called inorganic. But that is organic. The fact that basically you can start selling your service to new channels, new customer segments, new products, new businesses, new value chain steps, or new geographies. One of the things that happen in the Caribbean in general is that most of the businesses are distribution businesses. They just move products from point A to point B without adding any significant value to them. So therefore, a lot of the things that we're doing at the school and a lot of the emphasis that we're putting on this program is in developing of new products, okay? Which is really trying to add more value to it, okay? So that's it. But I just want to share a few rules for companies that want to grow. They call it rules for growth or fast companies. Do you think, Samuel, by the way, I hope you're very tired. Very nice. Samuel, one question. Do you think that we should compete? Small business should compete? Yeah, but should we compete or not? Yes? Do you think that we should compete? Yes? Well, allow me to agree to disagree. Let me tell you one thing. In general, in the Caribbean, the issue of having a small business is not really that we don't have the capacity to give birth to new businesses. It's really that we have just a high mortality rate. And our mortality rate of businesses is as high as our birth rate in business. So one of the, this leads to an issue, which is, the creation of jobs. One of the things that happen, especially if you see the big picture, is let's create new businesses. Let's create new companies. Let's start up new companies. That is an important aspect. Well, yes, it is. But as we create companies, we should avoid companies to die. What matters is not how many new companies we create. It's actually the net generation of new companies, which is really the difference between the dead and the newborns. One of the biggest issues that we have, one of the biggest factors of why companies do die, is because they decide to compete. What it means is the following. What happens if your product or your service does not differentiate at all based on your competition? You sell lumber, they just, move it from A to B, and then you have a location in central or in downtown Georgetown. What is your added value? Why your customers will actually go and buy from you? Whenever you don't have an original value proposition, something that will make you singular, unique, different, the only source of competition, the only attractiveness that you will have is what? It starts with P. And then there's an R. After the R is an I. It is price. So the only way that you will start to be attractive is price. You lower your price, and what happens? And what's the real advantage behind lowering your price? The real advantage. The real advantage that you offer, the source of that advantage, is that you have better capacity than your competitors to live a more miserable life. Whenever you're competing, based on price, it means that you don't have the way to differentiate yourself. But one of the reasons is because you really, really don't understand the market. The other thing is, don't play the game. Play the game. When you compete, you are accepting in a tacit way that you will follow the rules. Whenever you follow the rules, you start competing, and you don't set apart. Whenever you decide to play the game of being better instead of being different, that's a big issue, especially for a small business, because if you decide to start a new business, you're small, and there's already established players, offering similar products or services, your chances of survival are really tiny if you don't have special moves, right? If you want to attract the lady, you have to dress maybe differently. Maybe you have to show that you dance differently. Or you can ask her, you have to ask her in a different way, will you dance with me? Would you just do the same thing like all the others to attract the same lady? You're gonna fail, right? Right? I know. Chinese men don't dance or what? Yeah? No? Do they know? We hope so. Excellent. Very good. But you know what? Being original is not just, right? How much do you have to pay here in Guyana for a cataract surgery? In US dollars. 2,000 US dollars? Know that, right? Which is somehow 2,000. Now, what do you think if I tell you, hey, there you go. There you go. That there's a place in the world that you can get that cataract surgery, including pre and post surgery care, including transportation, including food, and including the actual intraocular lens for $20 US. 20 bucks. 20 bucks and you will recover your eyesight. I'll give you back your eyesight. You think it's a good deal? Or is it too good to be true? It's too good to be true. It's too good to be true. But the reason, if you think about value, when we offer quality and service divided by price, and we drop the price so low, we're gonna get a great deal. When was the last time that you experienced, you actually bought something or experienced a service that you I paid so little, yet I got so much back? When was the last time that you got that experience, in your life? Any? Like, boy, this handbag is so cool. It's so awesome. I just paid 10 bucks, and after 20 years, it's still perfect. Any Thailand suits, right? What about those Thailand suits? It's incredible. You arrive from the airport, in 5 minutes you're gonna have a guy, a tailor, how do we call it, tailor person? It's not a seamstress. It's a
tailor.
Yeah, a tailor. We'll measure you. You arrive at 10 a.m. and at 6 p.m. you will have all your suits ready, perfectly ready and perfectly fit. And for like 1/4 of the price that you pay, it is absolutely crazy. That's great value. But the key here is your product offering that kind of value? Is your product actually offering these experiences right now? This deal that sounds too good to be true actually is happening. It's called the Aravind Clinic in India. Okay? And by the way, if you don't have the 20 bucks, it doesn't matter, you can pay later. You want the last one that was there? Maybe I should just. It doesn't work. No, that's true. Everything in this world is immutable. Secrets do not exist. So, if you are thinking, and that is what is going to protect you against competition, forget about it. If you still have doubts, go and visit the Chinese, right? They actually have, a Disneyland park that just looks. The only thing different about this park is it's not Disney, but everything is just a replica of Disney. You can always imitate a product, but it's very hard for you to imitate a process. So what matters is not what you do, it's how you do it. At the end of the day, look, Apple Apple has, the iPad, right? There are a lot of competitors, but the competitors haven't been able to imitate Apple's innovation process. So the real innovation comes out of the process and how you come up with these new ideas. It's not the idea anybody can go and copy a product. You just do reverse engineering. That's easy. But you cannot reverse engineer a process, right? Can you? Can you? Can you reverse engineer a process? You can. Okay. The fourth, and I know that I have just 2 minutes, right? You have to understand your growth atmosphere. You have to be mindful. I'm the least mindful person in the world, by the way. But what does it mean for you to be mindful and to be aware? Mindful and aware. What does that mean for you? To understand what happens in your environment, So I wonder, how often do you actually go to the internet and just explore companies that are related to to what you do, and what kind of innovations or new technologies around your company? For instance, I went to visit one of the most important CEOs of a utility company in Trinidad and Tobago. Actually, it was at TNTech, the electricity company. Interesting. And then I asked him, do you know what is the best utility company in the world? Like the role model for all the world? Do you know where it is? No. It's in San Diego. Actually, the most innovative thing about this company is that it actually makes money and doesn't contaminate, do not pollute. Okay? And basically what they do, they export electricity to Mexico. Which is weird, right? But the thing is, that's really about being aware and being mindful. You have to be explorers. You have to be very mindful and very mindful, because the more you understand your context, the most likely you will find business opportunities. And the fifth is to be the master of the ultimate competitive advantage. Thank you very much. No, just kidding. What do you think is the ultimate competitive advantage for a fast business? Let's just forget about SMEs. For a fast business, what do you think is your ultimate competitive advantage? The mother of all. Yes. Experience, not at all. People, not at all. That's nice, but it's the right kind of politically correct thing to do, but it's not. Ultimate, the mother of all. It's having the best understanding of your customer. It's being able to empathize with them, being able to insert yourself in the physical, in the cognitive, in the spiritual, and the emotional space of your customers. Because, once you have privileged access to your customer, which means not just the transaction, but the relation, and understanding what they think, what they feel, but mostly what they do, okay, is wherever you will find these growth opportunities. And by the way, if you think that you will get to know your customer by making surveys, you're wrong. What you're looking for is about insights, revelations, and those only will emerge if you're able to insert yourself in their own world. So it's observation. And you know how you get to know people really? It's not by their actions, but by their reactions. So do you know your customer? Do you know their reactions? Do you know how they feel? What they think? Don't believe what your customers say. Don't believe because customers do tend to lie. Believe how they behave. And that is the ultimate source of inspiration. Thank you very much.
I was particularly inspired to hear you say that the advantage is in innovativeness, and that is what matters, and not necessarily competing by imitation. What I would like to know, creative energy in growing your business. Is it's an environment in which a lot of, Mr. Fletcher said, industrial espionage can take place. But for a simple thing like copying. But I would like to know whether there is something available for consultancies within the course that ensures a level of confidentiality. In other words, if one signs up for this course, is there going to be an opportunity for one-on-one consultation since it is based on your own business? And if so, how is there going to be an assurance of confidentiality in discussing strategies, etc.?
Thank you very much. There is obviously opportunity for consultation, and actually, we have a growth accelerator, which is called Biz Booster, which we're going to set up here in Guyana, which is going to be part of the ecosystem of support of this program, and it will be as well as in support of with the Republic Bank. The answer is yes. There's going to be these chances for one-to-one interaction. And what's interesting about this program is all the projects that we do are going to be done, based on your company. It's going to be related to a company, and whenever we offer this program, we do sign some confidentiality agreements, and that's understandable. However, there's that in the Caribbean, there is an obsession for this, espionage, you can imitate me, and so on and so forth. But once you are in the market, subject for you to be imitated. Okay? There's one thing that we have to understand. Your product won't ever be your competitive advantage. It's your capacity to reinvent your product, to come up with new innovations all the time. That's the real competitive advantage. Because it doesn't matter that you have an innovative product. It will be imitated if you're successful. That's unavoidable. And it may take 1, 2, or 3 months. But if you have one product that is easy to imitate, but it's great, you know what's the best strategy? To grow like crazy. Which means is really to exploit all your channels and be in the actual sales points and in shelves as fast as possible. Okay. At the end of the day, your biggest advantage in the market will be your brand, will be your position, and your availability. Whenever you are first mover, you have a first mover advantage. That is the advantage. I'm going to use an example that I'm pretty sure that none of the gentlemen here in the audience are aware of, which is Viagra, right? Yeah, in Mexico, Viagra really is not needed, right? It doesn't exist. But after 5 years, I was a consultant for Pfizer, so Viagra actually finished their patent in protection in 5 years, and then other medicines came, other drugs came into place. But still, and they're actually better. They're cheaper, they're better, they have less collateral damage. But still, Viagra commands, the majority, the biggest market share. The reason? Because they were the first mover. Okay? So what matters is to be fast. To be fast. They will imitate you, they will copy, especially if it's a good product. And your competitive advantage will be really temporal. If it's easy to manufacture, it will take just a few weeks. But then that's when you will have to grow fast. That's where comes the expertise, So don't worry you will have these assurances of confidentiality for sure. But worry more about growing fast than being imitated. Yes.
Just one is
sure.
This presupposes a shared risk in entrepreneurship between yourself and the lending agency. If you have to innovate and you have to
it's always like that. It's always like that. But I wouldn't say that share the risk, because one of the things, the reason of this program is really about mitigating risks. Okay, understanding that you will be able to understand a little bit better your risks. It's always very risky to innovate. It's always it's easier and less risky to imitate. But then, even in imitation, you have to be innovative. Because we could just innovate you can imitate something, tweak it, and make it better, and be able to grow fast. Let me tell you one thing. McDonald's, okay, or these fast food chains. Do you think they have imitators now? You have McDonald's, you have Burger King, you have all these fast food chains. But you know what was the real source, like the real innovation of McDonald's? Was not really the concept of fast food. It's really their growth strategy. It's called the replication strategy. The capacity to basically offer fast food in different countries. That is the real innovation. It's their growth strategy. It's not necessarily the product, but the capacity to offer the same product, really, in other markets. It doesn't matter if it's China, Russia, Vietnam, Suriname, or Mexico. You know where I actually had my first Mexican burger in McDonald's? You know where it was? It wasn't Mexico. It was in India. Okay, which was very weird, right? So we're actually thinking about renaming the roti in taco. Does that make sense? Really? And it's really about mitigating risks.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you very much for that question. Another question?
Bring peas to the business. And then there was a gold drought. And all your reapers of peas went into the gold mines. Would you close down your business or would you do something else?
I'll be selling gold peas.
Selling peas to gold.
For instance, one of the things that we have to work on is to start producing commodities. Gold is a commodity, and you're blessed for the price of gold right now, but you know that it starts to drop. So the problem, and that's why I really ask the SMEs, the owners, to be mindful and aware of their environment, is that you cannot base your product on a commodity because you don't control the prices. When you don't control the price, you don't control your business. Okay, I won't ever support that you actually produce peace. What will actually help you is to support what kind of products, what kind of processing we could do with the peas so we can turn it into food that you can sell it on a global scale. If you say, my project is to actually produce peas to sell in the market, I will say no. That's, for us, that will limit your growth exponentially. But let me say, this is how you can process peas, and this is how you can sell your frozen peas in Publix in Miami. You can compete. This is the way you can actually break. Can we actually offer organic frozen peas and sell those in Norway? That's the question. That's the challenge. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Allows you the opportunity to, in the comfort of your home office or wherever you are, to log on and participate in the program without having to travel in a physical classroom. 13 courses done online, 3 workshops. Workshops are generally face-to-face. What we will be doing in workshops is conducting them here in Ghana for the students in the program. The program runs for approximately 20 months. The cost of it is $8,000 US dollars, subject to a loan provision by the bank and a scholarship through the university. What I would like to do is probably meet with you and give you some more information just after this forum so we can talk a little bit more specifics. It is a master level program, so there are admission requirements that are academic in need to have an undergraduate degree at BSc, and your own business, preferably, or how to start a business, or a senior level employee in a business that has access to the organizational data, or working along with access to a business. And generally that will be asked for about 5 years experience currently, along with your degree in business. If you do not have a first degree or undergraduate degree, you do have a diploma or certificate of some sort, we do have a mature entry exam that you can take. So the experience required is about 12 years in management of the organization. What I can tell you is that we are currently reviewing those requirements to make it a little bit more in line with the markets that we do. So I hope that answers your question. I have my business card in the shoe. So if you have further questions, I can also to discuss it. Any other questions on the program itself? How it works?
Available online for you to look at to see what kinds of subjects, topics will be addressed in
Yes, and in your brochure, in your package, there is a brochure that outlines the 13 courses and the 3 workshops.
Okay. We just had one student sign up from Colombia, from Cincelejo, which is the Caribbean part of Colombia. It's quite nice.
And we also have students from Jamaica, Montserrat, Suriname.
I think there's a question from
Yes, sir.
If I'm unable to attend that workshop, is there any arrangement for disabled?
That's a good question. I think once we understand the nature of the physical disability, we would make certain arrangements. I think the arrangement might be more in terms of the location and where, how you get there. Definitely, I think that we would make some arrangements to facilitate the those with certain disabilities.
To grow, that means that we are actually doing our job. If you think about it, it's very similar to what happens in a bank, right? And one of the most longer-standing directors, and definitely the one who is mostly involved, his name of the school, right? One of the prerequisites is not just hotels or restaurants. Those are important, but there is an ecosystem of services that must be put in place to basically support the growth of that particular cluster. For instance, does it make sense to have a very well-established and developed maintenance company, so facilities maintenance? Or what about financial services? Do we need financial services for the tourism development, right? Why? To offer exchange rates and to offer the capacity for a tourism to spend their money, right? Do we need a strong retail sector? Do we need to develop arts and craft? What about entertainment? What about infrastructure? What about healthcare? We do need some clinics that will take care of that. So that's the cluster. That's the can you find out what used to be bubbles? Actually, there is the cluster of tourism. There you'll find it in before. Cluster of tourism. It's like lots of squares. Lots of squares. So, this one. There you go. Just no. This is this one. The squares. 11.
One
There
after
you
that.
go. Excellent. Yeah. I was never prepared for this, but yeah, very good. So this is a typical cluster. This is in Australia. So one of the interesting things is you need hotels, you need restaurants, you need attraction activities, and you need airlines. But that's just, this is the set. This is the cluster. The cluster services, property services, food supply, foreign exchange, local transportation, healthcare, but not just that. You have to have travel agents, tour operators, and you have to have governing agencies like the Tourism Commission or educational institutions that actually train the people how to, in hospitality, or industry groups that actually will represent, all the cluster together. So one of the interesting things about, remember to be mindful and aware of your context, is that understanding what is a cluster in Guyana that actually could grow, and how, as an entrepreneur, you can fit there. Okay? And that's business design. And by the way, we are currently mapping, can you go to the previous one, where you see the bubbles? Okay. This is basically how every cluster relates to the school belongs to the Microeconomics of Competitiveness Institute from Harvard, which I go there every year to work with Michael Porter. And what we're doing here is we're actually linking, we're trying to understand all the clusters. It's a cluster mapping of every country in the Caribbean. We started with Trinidad and Tobago, we're like about 50%. In 3 months we will finish with Trinidad and Tobago, and the next one is going to be Guyana. And nobody will have access to this, knowledge or intelligence that you do, actually. So, which is quite interesting. Does that answer your question? Thanks.